saga of Mykhailo Mudryk has taken a dramatic turn and he's been handed the maximum possible ban for the doping charges. Liam Delap supposedly wants to stay and fight for his spot at Chelsea, but is 1 goal in 25 Premier League appearances enough to keep him in the squad? Chelsea is supposedly unsure if Mike Penders is ready to join the first team next season and are considering another one-year loan. SALAH from Sky Sports News is coming out with more BlueCo PR, apparently saying some absolute superstars that we've tried to sign. And are Chelsea already in front of the curve in terms of the youth project with a crazy new rule that FIFA are looking at implementing in Premier League clubs to encourage youth development? Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And we're taking a little break from the manager stuff today, and it's going to be a little bit of a shorter video because I'm going into the studio later today, but let's just get into it. So first up, the big news. Fabrizio Romano posted this yesterday. The FA banned Chelsea winger Mykhailo Mudryk for 4 years for an anti-doping offence. Mudryk has appealed to CAS against this decision with process ongoing, as Ben Jacobs reports. 4 years would be the maximum punishment possible if confirmed. Yikes, 4 years. That's it's the same as Paul Pogba. I think Paul Pogba got 4 years as well. I'm not sure, actually. I know it was, or may I feel like Paul Pogba was longer than that. Let me know in the comments if you remember. But what? It's just wild, isn't it? This is just wild. So we signed Mudryk for so much money, and I will never forget that one appearance against Liverpool where we thought we'd bought the next Eden Hazard, and he just looked absolutely fearless and unbelievable, but ultimately just never really looked that good, did he? So, and do you know what's been really crazy, obviously, because our left-wing situation has been so dire for such a long time. A lot of fans have been not pining's definitely too strong, but waiting for the potential return of Mykhailo Mudryk, because the news has been in and out for a little while. Oh, maybe he's going to come back after Christmas. He's training with the team again, this, that, and the other. Some fans have been, obviously, because we're so exasperated with Garnacho and Jamie Gittins, some people have literally been like, let's get Mykhailo Mudryk back. But I'll be completely honest, I don't think he's better. I don't think he showed really that he's better than either of the options that we've got at the moment. Either way, this is savage, man. We spent so much money on Mykhailo Mudryk. So, as the tweet says, there is an appeal ongoing, but I've got another tweet here directly from Ben Jacobs, the man himself, with a little bit more information about how it pertains to Shakhtar Donetsk, how much we spent on him, and what might happen next. Ben Jacobs: Sergei Palkin tells me Shakhtar are currently set to lose all 30 million euros in bonuses if Mykhailo Mudryk doesn't play for Chelsea again. Mudryk's doping charge, which remains highly confidential, is ongoing. We have 30 million in bonuses in his contract. If he's not playing or Chelsea aren't reaching results, we are losing 30 million. That is a big financial impact for us. Everybody believes this story will finish as soon as possible with a positive result and Mudryk will return to playing. Otherwise, we will be in the position to lose 30 mil. I know Mudryk as a player and a person. I believe he will return and start playing again. Everyone is waiting for the court's decision, and we don't have any information about when this will take place and when the final decision will be issued. So I just think there's a couple of interesting permutations here. Because obviously the general story that we think as fans is we spent 80 mil or whatever it was on Mykhailo Mudryk, but the truth of the fact is we actually spent a lot less than that. It's looking to be a lot more like 40 to 50 because this 30 million was all bonus stuff, right? And he played one whole season, I think, maybe a little bit into the second one before he got banned as well. But it is interesting because, like I say, that's, you know, that 30 mil that Shakhtar will lose in bonuses means that that's money we haven't paid for him. So from the Chelsea perspective, notwithstanding the very dire situation that might be put Shakhtar in, from the Chelsea perspective, that's a little bit less of a blow, isn't it? Because all of a sudden, Mykhailo Mudryk wasn't this 80 million euro flop or 80 million pound flop or whatever it is. He's a 50 million pound flop, which still isn't great, let's be completely honest. But it just sort of takes the sting off a little bit. I do feel bad for Shakhtar in this respect, though, and there was so much love for Mykhailo Mudryk. You know, we all really wanted him to do really well. He got a lot of game time as well. He got a lot of game time. He just absolutely never kicked on, did he? So the other information that I've seen is that the appeal for CAS was put in on the 25th of February. So it's already been a couple of months now since he put the appeal in. So they must have known about this for a while, and the actual result, the charge, has only just come out. But maybe we've hopefully find out before the end of next season. The ridiculous thing about this, right? The absolutely ridiculous thing about this is, if Mykhailo Mudryk is banned for 4 years, he will still be under contract with us when he finishes his ban. The decisions, the BlueCo decisions coming back to haunt us. Well, if that isn't the consequences of your actions, do you know what I mean? It's one of them, isn't it? So, guys, let me know what you think about Mykhailo Mudryk. There's been all sorts of crazy stories about him since this ban came out. I remember one crazy one that he was going to switch from football to sprinting for Ukraine in the Olympics, and obviously that never happened. There was a lot of stories about him potentially even coming back as early as the Christmas window that's just gone, but it looks like it's not going to happen. If Mykhailo Mudryk gets the ban reduced and it's like a year or two, like, is there any chance of him even possibly getting back into the team? Like, I don't think so, but I'd love to know what you think about it in the comments. And guys, if you've made it this far, please do me the distinct honor of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments. Whatever gets you through your day. Right, so moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about Liam Delap, and we're going to talk about this tweet that I've seen from Chelsea Dodgers, but I've seen another piece of news somewhere, and I can't remember where it was, but I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. So Chelsea Dodgers posted this via Kieran McGill from the Daily Mail. Liam Delap wants to stay at Chelsea and prove people wrong. It's like, we're not wrong at the moment though, are we? You've scored 1 goal in 25 Premier League appearances, and you've scored 2 goals in 37 appearances across the season when you include Champions League, Cup competitions. Look, Liam Delap, right? Liam Delap. Liam Delap for me he's just not the right kind of player for the squad. I think the thing is, Liam Delap did really, really well at Ipswich. 12 goals in his first Premier League season is really, really good, 100%. But I think the reason that he did so well is because Ipswich's game plan was geared towards getting Liam Delap the ball. So if you look at the kind of strikers that we've had in recent memory, we don't have just like out and out strikers. We've always tried, we just keep trying to buy these strikers that are winger strikers or number 10 attacking strikers or 9.5s or whatever. You look at João Pedro and he's like a drop deep attacking playmaking kind of striker. You look at Kai Havertz, he was supposed to be the same. You look at Timo Werner, Nicholas Jackson, these guys were more akin to left-sided forwards, and Christopher Nkunku, again, exactly the same. All of these strikers we keep on buying have another thing about them rather than just being a direct kind of goal threat. Liam Delap has had 3 managers now, technically, with Callum McFarlane being at the wheel twice this season. But Maresca and Liam Rosinia have, they like to play with these kind of strikers. Like, to be fair, actually, like to Rosinia, I'm surprised wasn't able to get more of a tune out of him, because you look at someone like Joaquin Panicelli at Strasbourg was absolutely unbelievable. Omega is more of a Nicholas Jackson type who drifts out and a bit of a winger and can facilitate and assist and stuff. But Joaquin Panicelli is just a goal threat. So even Liam Rosinia, who had good experience working with a talented striker who was just a striker, he couldn't get anything out of Liam Delap either. Enzo Maresca, I wasn't so surprised about. I definitely, we saw the way that Enzo Maresca used João Pedro very often, and he was dropping deep a lot. And, one of the reasons that João Pedro lit up under Rosinia is because he was allowed to stay forward a little bit more, but he still had that kind of playmaker aspect going on. So look, Liam Delap, I don't know. Do we think, there is a bit of a thing with some of these guys that we've bought at Chelsea that they come alive in their second season. Moises Caicedo, Marco Correa, Enzo Fernandez even. It's only really Cole Palmer and I guess to an extent João Pedro out of our kind of core of really good players that have just come in and hit the ground running. Levi Colwill took a little while to warm up when he came into the team as well. And obviously last season under Maresca, he was really, really good. And, under the Pochettino season, he was getting played out at left back and sparse minutes here and there. So there maybe is something to say if Liam Delap got another season, maybe he kicks on because he's, got a season in the team or whatever. But I think the difficult thing as well is just because we keep changing managers all the time. But I just personally don't think there's much, I like the idea of it when we bought him. I was like, okay, cool. So we've got João Pedro who, can play, make and facilitate and stuff. And then you've got Liam Delap when you just need someone to bully defenders. Bullying defenders is the only thing Liam Delap's really able to do. And not more often than not, but too many times. He just elbows people in the face and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. For me, Liam Delap, maybe alone. I personally would be happy to cut our losses on him because I think we'd get 30 million back for Liam Delap. I think a club, we got him at a relegation price at the end of the day. That's what, if Ipswich would have stayed up, he'd have cost 50, 60 mil, easy, no problem. But we got him for 30 mil, which is a bit of a snip for his potential at the time because Ipswich got relegated and that kind of made sense. So if we can get the money back for Delap, I'd be happy. Like my vision, I don't even know if this is the case, but I would be happy to see João Pedro, Emmanuel Omega, and even keep Nicholas Jackson to be our strike force next season. Obviously with Nicholas Jackson being able to play out on the left wing as well. I think Mark Hughes gone. I think he just gets sold anyway. And I think Liam Delap, maybe he could get a loan. So this is where the other interesting piece of news comes in that I saw. I can't remember where I saw it, and I did look for it in Twitter this morning, but I couldn't see it. Supposedly, Liam Delap has turned down a move to Strasbourg on loan next season. Apparently, the idea has been floated to him already, and he's like, nope. And this maybe is where this piece of news comes from, that he wants to stay and prove people wrong. So I don't know, man. I'm just not convinced. Liam Delap, his best game in a Chelsea shirt, arguably, was against Hull in the FA Cup, and he got a hat-trick of assists, which is not really what you're looking for from Liam Delap, is it? You don't really want Liam Delap drifting out to the right and putting crosses in. You want him to be a box presence. You want him to be there and be a goal threat and occupy defenders and keep busy, but he's just really never managed to kick on. And I remember at the start of the season, because he got injured, obviously, really early, didn't he? Which is why the whole rigmarole with Nicholas Jackson happened when he was on his way to Bayern Munich, and then we tried to call him back and all that. But it's just never really happened for him, and he's got a lot of game time. At the beginning, it was like, oh, okay, he's injured. And I remember looking forward to Liam Delap coming back, and I was like, oh, João Pedro's really off it, but it'll be fine when Liam Delap comes back because he's an actual striker. Just pure hopium and copium from Chelsea fans, which is what we've kind of been experiencing all season. But he's had a lot of game time. He's played a lot of games, literally like 36, 37 games this season, and he's only scored 2 goals, and one of those came against a 10-man Barcelona when we were already 2-0 up. So I just don't really see it. And I'd like to know, what do you think about Liam Delap? Do you think that we keep him and we pursue? I guess largely it comes down to the manager as well, doesn't it? Because if we get like an Iraola, for instance, okay, maybe Iraola has more use for someone like a Liam Delap. But if we do end up with like a Xabi Alonso or a Cesc Fabregas or someone like that, I just don't really see it working. So guys, let me know what you think in the comments about Liam Delap. Should he stay or should he go? Next up, we're going to talk about Mike Penders, and I found this really interesting. So PYS posted this via Kieran McGill from the Daily Mail as well. There are some reservations if Mike Penders is ready to step up and a temptation for another 1-year loan. So this has been really interesting because I've had a lot of conversations about Mike Penders and the goalkeeper situation recently. And also we do keep being linked with Robin Roofs from Sunderland, who's had a really good season. I think every single Chelsea fan, we all know, don't we, that Robert Sanchez and Philip Jorgensen are not the ones. I personally think they both need to go. I think Philip Jorgensen is not good enough to be a number 2, so I think he needs to go anyway. And I think Robert Sanchez, he's been dropped every single season. Every single season. We can put the blame on Rosinia, even though Maresca was getting a good tune out of him. We can put the blame on Rosinia, but the fact of the matter is Maresca dropped him in his first season as well. So he's been dropped by Maresca, he's been dropped by Liam Rosinia, he was dropped by Pochettino, and he was dropped and became the 3rd keeper at Brighton before we bought him in the first place. So the problem I have with Robert Sanchez is not that he's not good on his day, it's that on his worst day, he costs us games. And we've seen it time and time and time again. He's been better this season. Last season, 5 errors leading to goals, which was a league high. Literally, it was a league high. So he was one of the worst keepers in the Prem last season. He's been good when he's been good this season. 100% I think that. But I just think the experiment's over. Like, he's 28 years old. I don't think we waste loads more time on developing Robert Sanchez. I think it's time to go with a new goalkeeper. I think the defenders and, the deep line midfielders need to feel more comfortable with whoever we've got in the sticks. And even if he's playing well, if Robert Sanchez has a bad day and he's just not feeling good or he's feeling a bit anxious, because that's one of the things, Willy Issa, I think, has been a big part of the transformative era of Robert Sanchez, where he's actually been quite good in spats. And he was really good in the Leeds game as well, like loads of really good saves and stuff. Don't get me wrong, he's a good shot stopper. But I just think he needs to go. Now, I think the Mike Penders thing is really interesting because, I did a really, really good podcast with Jay and Kai from Jay from Talking Chelsea and Kai from Behind the Dugouts the other day. Go and check it out if you haven't already. It's all about the new managers, but we did kind of get onto the goalkeeper situation for a moment. And Jay was like, I just think Mike Penders is the goalkeeper next season regardless. And if we still had Liam Rosinia or even Enzo Maresca, I'd agree with that. But because the manager situation is up in the air at the moment, I am now not sure, and I wasn't sure at the time, and I do actually kind of agree. I don't think bringing Penders in yet is necessarily a good idea because I think he needs more game time. I think he needs more experience, and I'd either keep him out on loan on Strasbourg or get him to another Premier League team, like a Crystal Palace or a Fulham, or I'm not sure how every mid-table Premier League team's goalkeeper situation is at the moment. But I think Premier League experience for Mike Penders would be really good because he's great from playing with the ball at his feet, but not so good as a shot stopper. Like Robert Sanchez is a better shot stopper than Mike Penders is right now. I'd like to know what you guys think about this as well. I actually kind of back this one, to be honest. Like, I think Mike Penders, when he comes in, I want him to come in and take the spot, and I'm not sure if he's ready yet. And also, from our perspective, we need a goalkeeper that can just come in and get the job done in the Premier League. And I like the look of Robin Roos. He's 23, so he is still really young. He fits the model and all the BlueCo stuff and all that, but also amazing season with Sunderland. He's on the up and up. He can play with the ball at his feet, but he's also been a really good shot stopper because obviously for Sunderland have faced a lot of shots. So, he's been tested in that regard as well. So guys, let me know, what do you think? Mike Penders, do you think it's time to bring him back yet? Or do we look for someone like a Robin Roos? Or Jose SALAH was an interesting one that was mentioned to me. I think we need like an older, experienced backup goalkeeper. And with Wolves going down, I think Jose SALAH might actually not be a terrible idea to bring someone in to have a bit of experience in that role as well. So, Enzo Fernandez. Let's talk about Enzo Fernandez. PYS posted this via Kieran Gill. Kieran Gill all over it at the moment with the non-manager news. I'm loving it. Chelsea are set to reopen talks at the end of the season to see if they can come to an agreement with Enzo Fernandez. So, it's been will they, won't they, with Enzo Fernandez for a long time. Since the Real Madrid stuff, really, hasn't it? Apparently, they've been negotiating tersely since December last year, and we're in April now, and nothing has been agreed to yet. What we're also seeing is a lot of people coming out and saying that Enzo Fernandez's future and whether he signs a new contract is probably going to be based on who the next manager is as well. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Personally, I'm quite indifferent about Enzo Fernandez. I think it's good to have someone with his level of output, right? He's a 10-goal a season kind of player in general. He gets assists. He riles people up. He is a good midfielder. I just think for our specific system that we're building for, and especially dependent on the managers that we get, I'm not sure if he's the right guy. I think if he's been playing as a number 10 a lot since the second half of the season, and I think we could get a better number 10. Like, obviously, for me, Cole Palmer is a better number 10 than Enzo Fernandez is, but Cole Palmer's obviously not in form at the moment, and I think we could get a better number 10 than Enzo Fernandez. As far as the deep midfield goes, one of the issues that Moises Caicedo has apparently had is he feels like he hasn't had enough support in that midfield role, because Enzo Fernandez, even when he does partner Moises Caicedo in that midfield role, he's often getting forward with when fullbacks are inverting and stuff. So, and obviously Romeo Lavia is starting to play a bit more now and is starting to look good. Dario Sugo is back, and hopefully we do go in for another midfielder as well. Looks like the Elliot Anderson dream is off now. But for me, Enzo Fernandez, I'm just not bothered either way, I guess. Like, I'd be happy to keep him around, but he's not necessarily the most conducive to the way that we want to play. I think we end up playing to Fernandez's strengths because he's in the team. And I think a big part of that was because of how much money was spent on him as well. So if a Real Madrid come in with 100 mil for Enzo Fernandez, I'd be pretty happy to sell him. He wants Caicedo money. He wants Cole Palmer money. He wants the big bucks. And I guess arguably based on this season, he's one of our better performers. So he's got a good negotiating, stance from looking at this season 100%. And, last season he did really well for numbers as well. And obviously he just scored that goal against Leeds that got us into the FA Cup final. So it's a weird one, isn't it? Because you see stuff like that and I'm like, oh, actually, maybe he is pretty good. But I do just think it's like the tactical element and the type of profile of the player that he is. Guys, let me know what you think about Enzo Fernandez. Do you think we should give him the new contract? Do you think we should give him Moises Caicedo and Cole Palmer money? Or do you think we should actually try and move him on and reinforce the squad with someone who's a little bit more conducive to getting the ball to the forwards that we've got rather than Enzo Fernandez arriving from deep and crashing the box all the time? Let me know. Right, so this was an interesting one. This sounds like, I'm not normally one to be like, PR. But this one feels like it, I'll be completely honest. Kave Solokol was on the Transfer Talk podcast on Sky Sports News, and PYS has reposted this. Chelsea will sign more experienced players in the summer. To be fair to them, they have tried before. They looked into signing Virgil van Dijk and also a Mo Salah return before he signed his new deal at Liverpool. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. It just seems a bit wild, doesn't it? Throw two of the best names in the Premier League into a sentence with Chelsea and maybe people start to feel better about the experience thing. The thing for me is there's almost no point in trying to back up this thing at the moment. They've said it a lot. We're going in for experience in the summer, and what experience means obviously is, still to be defined, but we just have to wait for the summer. Do you know what I mean? That's how I feel about it. We just have to wait for the summer. I don't think that we need all of this being like, oh, we tried to sign Mo Salah and we tried to sign Virgil van Dijk. Look, honestly, we do like experience. Honestly, I'm like, it's a bit much at this point. If you've put the message out that we're going for experience, right, okay, cool. I'm willing to believe that and have it backed up in the summer, but stuff like this is just silly, isn't it? And look, Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk are both really at the end of their careers. So I don't even necessarily believe that, because we've been so stringent on the wage structure. Do you know, like, it just seems ridiculous, doesn't it? It's our whole thing at the moment is like, okay, cool, we've got incentive-based contracts. We buy in players on low contracts. They perform well and they get better contracts. And we've seen that in practice as well. With the likes of Cole Palmer and Moises Caicedo most recently, and even Nicholas Jackson after his first season got that contract extension. So and Reece James obviously recently got a contract extension as well, and he's on mega money now. But if you're going in for Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk are on like £400,000 a week. Do you know what I mean? We've got no one near that in our squad at the moment, and that's been the message. So it just seems a little bit conflicting, and this one in particular does feel like BlueCo being like, oh, look, tell them that we tried to sign Mo Salah. Like, I just think it's a bit of a joke, this one, to be completely honest. Right, moving on. Really interesting one. Not necessarily Chelsea specific, but it pertains to us as well as every other club in the Premier League. Chelsea Dodgers posted this via Times Sport. New, all clubs would be required to have at least one homegrown under-21 player on the pitch at all times under a radical plan being considered by FIFA. The plan is said by sources to be aimed at helping the development of young players. So rules in football change all the time, don't they? You know, there's VAR and there's, the handball rule changes every single season, and, there's little tweaks, and every single season the rules are changing at the moment. Ref rules are a really big one as well. Refereeing rules keep changing and they keep giving more power, and, so we are having to get used to new rules all of the time. But this is a bit of a crazy one. So, I don't even necessarily think this is a bad idea. Like, some countries have got really good rules. Like, I love that China had this rule where every single goalkeeper in the Chinese Premier League, or the Chinese top tier, whatever it's called, had to be a grassroots Chinese goalkeeper. And I'm like, cool, I like that. I think it's good to try and support the development of your national club and your national players as well, rather than just always bringing in really expensive players from abroad and stuff, which can be conducive to creating the best teams. Of course it can. But, we have seen it in the past when that started to happen, that the England team kind of fell off. We had a bit of a resurgence, obviously, in the last 8 years or whatever, which has been great. But this would be a game changer, wouldn't it? This would be a game changer. Now, for us, obviously, we've been pretty good with our academy for quite a long time now. You got to think about, obviously, Frank Lampard came in and developed the likes of Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount, Reece James, and obviously we've still got Reece James in the squad now. At the moment, we've got the likes of Josh Achiampong, Levi Colwill. There's players coming up like Genesis Antwi, Reggie Walsh, Jesse Derry. We've got players already that fit that model and that mould. The caveat with this rule in particular is having to field one of them. So you can't just have one. You'd have to have 2, 3, 4 players at any given moment that are under 21 and homegrown. That doesn't necessarily mean academy players. It just means under 21 and homegrown. So you could be going to buy, it would raise the price of these players as well, 100%. And youth is already really expensive, and it's great for clubs because it's pure profit. And what it might do is help money find its way down the footballing pyramid, because all of a sudden you're having to get homegrown players and you start looking to the championship and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So obviously the top table teams will be looking at mid to low tier Premier League teams to get those players, but bottom and middle Premier League teams will be looking maybe at championship. So maybe I do see lots of positives in this idea, but does it affect the ultimate quality of the pitch when every single club has to have an under-21 homegrown player on the pitch at any one time? Because very, very, very talented young players are still not the absolute norm. Like, it's not like, at the moment, every single Premier League team doesn't have an under-21 homegrown player in their squad that is an absolute Premier League ready starter. Do you know what I mean? So I do find it really, really bizarre rule. Now, for us, in terms of like having those players, we're kind of already all right, and it would force us to play the likes of Josh Achiampong and Jesse Derry more often. But at all times, because the thing is, what does at all times mean? Does that mean that if you make a sub and you want to sub off that under-21 player, he gets replaced with another under-21 player? There's a lot to it. It's quite complicated. It's not even just as simple as, oh yeah, everyone has one. Like, no, you're going to need 3 or 4. And if one needs to be on the pitch at all times, then yeah, and these are the players that are likely going to need to be subbed off more often because they're younger and you need to protect their minutes and their physicality. So I think it's a bit of a wild. At the moment, the way it's phrased here in particular, I think it's too aggressive. I think that there could be something like under 21 homegrown players need to have played for a certain amount of minutes over a Premier League season, or in all competitions or something like that. I do think that there's a conversation to be had about how do we get more youth players into every single squad, not just the squads that are like we're going to focus on youth and academies and development. But I think the wording of this rule at the moment is a little bit too strong, because it is essentially telling squads how to run their teams. And all of a sudden that gets really complicated, and you potentially degrade the quality of the teams a little bit. I don't know. It just seems a little bit wild. Like I say, as Chelsea, we're kind of well placed for this kind of thing already, because we've got so many of these players, and so many of them look like they are ready, if not close to breaking through. But Fulham, Crystal Palace, Brentford, Everton, all of these other teams, do you know what I mean? Is like, how does it work the same for them? Do they just start calling on their academies? And like I said, there could be positives with like championship players, and is this only for the Premier League, or is this across football in general? Because all of a sudden then championship teams are buying League One players. League One players are buying League Two players. League Two are looking into the conference. So it could be a real boost for football in general, and all of a sudden make us start paying a lot more attention to other footballing leagues in our country, which I think would be a good thing. But guys, let me know what you think about it. So guys, that's it. I'm going to wrap the video up today. I think this has been an interesting one, actually. This particular point at the end about the new rule being implemented, I would really, really like to discuss with some of you and see what you think the permutations might be. But let me know what you think about everything I've spoken about in today's video. Mykhailo Mudryk, is he ever coming back? I don't know. Liam Delap, is it right for him to stay and fight for his place, or do we just shift him on? Enzo Fernandez, new deal? No. Enzo Fernandez, deal or no deal? Personally, I'm not particularly bothered. Mike Penders, what do you think about Mike Penders? Is he ready to come back yet, or should we put him out on loan for another season? And did Chelsea really try to sign SALAH and Virgil van Dijk before they signed their new contracts? I'm not so sure. Nice one, guys. Thank you very much for sticking around until the end of the video. If you did, I'll catch up with you all very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.